our metal is in for our chassis jigs, for both chassis jigs. It's been here about a week. I have the Firebird up on jack stands right now. We're gonna get underneath of it, do some measurements. I believe the car is straight. There was only one spot of damage on it, and that would be, I should say damage, but a dent that I'm aware of. And that was right here on the door. There was some Bondo put into it. Other than that, back here, obviously, with the rust, it tells me where Bondo is not at. So, with all the rust there, there's a possibility of some Bondo down here. I doubt it, but we'll see. But right now, we're gonna go ahead and get measurements on the car, verify everything is straight, and then get the car out of the way and start building the chassis jigs. So a couple hours later, nighttime has come, and as you can see, it has gotten cold in the garage here. So we're gonna get started now with cutting the two long main frame rails from the front mounting point of the radiator support on the Firebird back to the rear mounting point of the rear spring shackle. Its measured, total measurement is 13 feet, 3 inches, 3 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna go ahead and cut these at 14, 2 rails at 14, and then that'll give us 2 end pieces, and we'll move on from there. All right, so for starters, I'm going to get 1 rail up on some jack stands, and then I'll have the last few feet hanging off of the jack stand. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully that works out pretty good. We'll just space these out somewhat. So we're gonna go 14 feet, like I said. I get that 14-foot mark, and then we'll put the jack stands in the correct location. I did check earlier. I checked the squareness of the end cuts on these, and they are square. We'll go ahead and mark this and then get it up on the jack stands. Should be pretty good. The last one will be here, roughly. All right, so let me muscle this steel up on here. So we just picked up this bandsaw from Harbor Freight. We're gonna see if it can hang on as a battery operated bandsaw. And we'll see how well it does. We picked up 3 different blades, and this blade is meant to cut through 1/8 inch up to 1/4 inch. So we'll see how it goes. It's got a variable speed on it. It said battery operated and a lock here, but let's see how it does. All right, so here we are a couple days later from when you just saw my son and I were cutting up the metal for the chassis jig. As you can see, I have it laid out on the floor. I'm gonna go over what I did. This was probably about 20, 30 minutes worth of work, but I'm gonna go over what I did, why I did it. So if you're interested or you're looking to build your a chassis jig for yourself, I'm gonna do the best I can. I'm no expert, but I'm gonna show you what works for me and how you could build yourself a decent chassis jig to mount your car or whatever vehicle you might be working on that you want to restore. All right, so as you can see here on the bottom, these are our 20-foot section pieces that are left. There's that one, this one here, and that one there. Those three pieces are going to be the chassis jig for the Bronco outside. Right now, we're working on the chassis jig for the Firebird, which actually, these chassis jigs, the way we're building them, this one will work for any of the unibody type cars. I'm building it specifically for that reason. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but my research and looking around, that's what I've come up with. The chassis jig we're going to build for the truck, that's going to be more specific for a truck chassis jig. So if that helps or not, I don't know. But right now we're concentrating on the Firebird's chassis jig. These are the cutoffs right here from these pieces right there, and those are going to actually, they're marked up already. They're going to be corners for the chassis jig. These here are our 14-foot rails, that one and this one here. Again, the car was, I forget the measurement, but it was like 13 feet, 3 1/8 of an inch or something like that. So what I have is, concrete floor is never level. And as you can see, I've got a wonderful crack through this floor. So we took, to eliminate as many imperfections on the floor as possible, we've taken the two 20-foot sections, laid them down first, and then put our 14-foot sections on top of that. As you can see, there's one or two pieces of cardboard there. Down here towards the other end, that wood there is just holding this piece in place. So I have the correct distance between the two, which is making it square up there. Couple pieces of cardboard right here on the end, and then right underneath of the 14-foot piece right there. That, for some reason, this rail was way off. The floor is really way off on this side. This side, it didn't require any type of leveling off. It was already level. So what I did was, after getting the cardboard, after getting those 20-foot sections leveled, laid those on top, got those 14-foot sections leveled. These here, again, are just cutoffs. They're holding this level and even with the 14-foot sections. Back there, we'll get to that afterwards. So if we come in and take a look, so level across this way. Get that to focus. We're just inside the lines, which is good enough. Same down here, same measurement down here, or levelness if you want to call it. And one more, same thing there. Also, along the whole span of it, just inside the two lines. And if the light, there we go, kind of, just inside the two lines. So the chassis jig from front, from front to back and side to side is level. Now also, get my tape measure here. So after checking for level, I checked for squareness. See if I can do this by myself here. Check for square, and we are dead on it, 175 inches. And we'll try and do this side too, show you. All right, get a little bit closer there. Coming back to this corner, again, right on the 175-inch mark. So we've got it squared up. The cuts are all looking good. but I got to take it all back apart so I can prep the metal. We're going to go ahead and obviously we got to sand down or just clean off any mill scale or any kind of junk on the outer part of the metal. Plus this end, the sides, and then the bottom when we get to the bottom eventually. We're going to 45 all these. Inside here, across the top, across the bottom, and down this side to weld it in. Once we have those cleaned up, we'll go ahead and get it reset to level, and then we'll go ahead and start tack welding it, check square, and I'm running really low on gas, so hopefully I have enough. We'll start welding it up, get it flipped over, and get the bottom side done. Okay, so with the edges, I just beveled the edges a little bit to get a better root weld into there. So with the edges beveled and all the edges cleaned up, spend some time, get this back to being square and level, and we can start throwing some welds down. So shouldn't take too long, being I've already done it. I kind of know what it needs. So we just get everything back in place. Now I'm not too concerned with the far end down here yet. Down here, I just need it to be, now these center pieces are cut at 41.5. I just need this to be butted together. We're still gonna measure for square, but we're gonna come down here with the spare pieces and tack weld that in afterwards. So we're gonna just get that side squared up, or excuse me, leveled up. That's tight, so I'm okay with that. Let's check here. Right back to where we were. Side, same thing, down here. It's actually more level than it was last time. Perfect. We'll check over here. Good. So now we'll check one more time with my speed square. I just want to be sure before I start throwing in any tack welds, be sure I can get as close as to level or square as possible, and then work on it and not lean on it like I just did throwing it off. So $90, it's not good there, so it's good in there. This one has to come up a little bit. So got a mallet. That 14 footer is too far back. All right, that's good. Check the inside. Better. That's good. I'm gonna check down here, but I want it to be close, but it doesn't have to be exact just yet. No, it's dead on. Dead on. All right. So we're level. According to the squares, we're square, but we're gonna go ahead and take a measurement. And if the measurement comes back to the 175 inches, then we're good to get started with the welding. $175, right on the mark. One more. Should be 175 if we got it lined up right. And it's 175, right on the mark. So we're gonna throw a few tack welds in it. I wanna get it secured, or basically I want to get it locked down with tack welds all the way around, because like I said, I am almost out of gas, and if anything, at least it's tack welded down. I can move it around and it won't get out of whack there. So with that, I really don't need these. Put them over there and we get to welding. All right, so those two cleaned up. We'll get them set up and in place to be tack welded in. I'll start with the back one here. Definitely got to be shimmed up. That one too. Let's see how much. Gotta make some noise. and come over here and see the ugly weld. Which one was it? Down here. Yeah, that was ugly. These were going in pretty good. They were burning in good. This one over here was burning in fairly good. And I got no light on it. It was burning in fairly good, but I'm out of gas. That stinks. I wanted to keep welding. Okay, so the gas bottle's empty. I can't do any more welding. The bottle pretty much called it for the night. It is getting pretty late. I gotta get this cleaned up and get the Firebird back inside. I'm not sure how long this video is. It's probably getting pretty long. So I'm gonna wrap it up for this video. We have a lot more to come. This is the main frame of the chassis jig. We have a lot of welding to do, a lot of holes to drill for the weight jack bolts and the weight jack nuts, plus and we're gonna weld on the wheels to it, the casters to it. What else? And then after that's all said and done, we're gonna sand the whole thing down and prime it, basically in a primer paint. It's a black paint from a big box store. I'll show you what that paint is. I've used it before and it's pretty good quality. So with this, you're gonna be cutting pipes on and off of it, moving metal around and everything. So you don't need anything special. You just want paint that's going to keep it from rusting up. And this stuff's pretty cheap. So you can sand, when you cut a pipe off, you sand it, grind it back down, you squirt some paint on it, and it keeps it sealed up. We do have all the metal underneath of this. Again, this is the chassis jig for the 72 Firebird. All the metal underneath and on the sides here are for the 88 Bronco. We have to get the Bronco inside here. I do not have the measurements for the body like I did for the Pontiac. So we're gonna get that inside, get some measurements of the body mount bolt points, and then we're gonna build that chassis jig as well. I do have one more thing. So there is a lot more that actually and it's gonna be on both jigs. So one more thing before we go. I'll show you here real quick on this piece. These are the cutoff pieces, and I'll have 2 more of these after we get done with the Broncos jig. But you'll see here, I don't know if you can see because I've marked it out kind of with the light. You see these lines right here, the 45 cuts. There's 7, I got 7 marked out on this piece of metal and 7 more on that one. I think it was 24 total. Those 45-degree angle cuts, those pieces are actually going to, after we weld up these center pieces here, whoop, you can't see, come back here, and back here, one more. All right, so after we welded up all of this on the insides and on the top, those cut pieces are actually gonna be welded into here, into the corners on all 4 sides here, and the 2 insides on the ends, strengthening this up more so it can't twist or tweak that way. But it's a lot more cutting, a lot more to cover. So again, I thank you for watching. Stick around. The second half of this chassis jig build will be coming in the next video.